Okay, since we're all here, it's 7:07 p.m. on the 13th of September, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the township clerk please read the statement?
Yes. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 6th, 2021, and on September 7th, 2021, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and JSA 10:4-7.
Thank you, Marcy. Roll call, please.
Vice President Orberger,
Here.
Councilmember Chili,
Here.
Councilmember Pitsker,
Here.
Councilmember Weller,
Here.
Council President Shortway.
Present. Invite everyone to stand and salute the flag. Say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we'll move right on. We're going to have a proclamation tonight. Mayor, if you would be so kind to read the proclamation.
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
This is a proclamation recognizing and declaring the month of September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Vernon Township. Whereas children across New Jersey bravely fight against Burkitt's lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of pediatric cancer. And whereas in gratitude to all of those who helped the children and their families on their journeys to recovery, the Township of Vernon would like to help raise awareness for childhood cancer. And whereas each year, pediatric cancer interrupts children's lives and limits the potential of thousands of young Americans, and it remains the leading cause of death related to the death of children. And whereas September has been declared as National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and in efforts to raise awareness, everyone is encouraged to go gold, GOLD, to show support and promote recognition of those young lives affected by cancer. And whereas during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, we come together to remember all of those lives that were cut short by pediatric cancer, to recognize the loved ones who know too well the pain it causes, and to support every child and every family battling cancer each day. We join with their loved ones and the researchers, the healthcare providers and advocates who support them. And we work towards, tomorrow where all children are able to pursue their full measure of happiness without the burden of this awful disease called cancer. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the Township of Vernon that September 2021 shall be known as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the Township of Vernon. This will be a proclamation that will be assigned by me and Council President Harry Shortway. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Okay, number 6 on your agenda, public comments for current agenda items only, limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone from the public desiring to speak, please state your name for the record and where you reside. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion open.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Seeing and hearing no one, the floor is now open. Marcy?
I don't see any. No, I see a hand. Hold on. Sorry. Peg DeStassi.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I had a prepared statement for tonight, but I'm not going to use it. Instead, I will use my 3 minutes to rebuke the limiting of public interaction by resolution 2102 21-204. Resolution 21-204 is nothing more than an attempt to control and silence the public comments. What are you afraid of? You never address the comments or answer them anyway. This is nothing more than taking away our First Amendment right, which in the First Amendment right, it gives us, the people, the right to peacefully assemble, to petition the government for a redress of our grievances. Since Harry Shortway is the person who decides what is on the agenda, and I am sure behind this resolution, I hereby ask for his resignation on a vote of no confidence in his leadership of this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stassi. Marcy, anyone else?
I have Christine Dunn.
Hi, my name is Christine Dunn, and I agree with Peg, with what Peg has to say about that resolution, because I have pretty recent to watching you guys, and it does seem that every time, I mean, there is no public discussion. We have no say in this. We're not allowed to ask questions. Who do I ask questions? I have a ton of questions for you people. And then now it's just less and less and less of letting us talk. So I kind of agree. I don't know much, but I would like to cast my vote of no confidence in Harry Shortway and honestly, all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
I have Jesse Palladini.
Well, I guess I might as well follow Peg Stasi because she's such a great person to follow. I just want to make a clarification before you adopt this resolution, ordinance, or whatever evil act it is. Tony Chili made a statement at the last meeting, and she prefaced it with, I know we're not allowed to answer, but that is absolutely wrong. You are absolutely allowed to answer as you wish. Our town council for decades have had robust back and forth dialogue with the public answering their questions. This was just a unilateral rule that Harry Shortway made. It is not law. It is not state policy for best practices. And I would encourage some of you who have been elected to serve this government and serve your people, I would encourage you to start responding to public questions, because that's the only time you could have transparency. So please don't make comments like, when are we going to go back to live meetings? I know we're not allowed to answer the public. You, every one of you, all it takes is a motion and a second and a vote. It's not up to Harry Shortway to determine when you're going to go live and whether you as council members can respond to the public. So once again, I'm going to join the others in casting a vote of no confidence in Harry Shortway. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see no other hands, Council President.
Since there is no one else from the public desiring to speak, could I have a motion to close public comments?
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Seeing none, hearing none. The floor is now closed to the public. Move to number 7 with the minutes. I'd like to separate these. First, voting on the August 23rd executive session. Can I have a motion to vote on those minutes?
Make a
I wanna
motion to
separate-
approve.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve the August 23rd executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Seeing none. So that motion will pass. I've asked, what I'm going to ask is a motion that I would like to postpone the reading or the voting on the regular meeting minutes, because going over it, there are some statements that aren't included. When I listened to the tapes a couple times, compare what was in the minutes. And some of those statements I would like to address in appropriate means at the appropriate time. So therefore, I would like all the minutes, that record, to be transcribed as a written record and easy to see so other people can see what was said. Can I have a motion to postpone that vote? We'll carry it till next
Motion then to do so.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Seeing no one, motion passed. Consent agenda. Resolution 21-198, refund overpayment, various blocks and lots, Wells Fargo Real Estate Tax Services. Resolution 21-199, refund overpayment, block 251, lot 2, Loretta. Resolution 21-200, refund overpayment, block 526, lot 365, Jesse Feckow. Resolution 21-201, refund overpayment, block 527, lot 220, Prologic. Resolution 21-202, refund overpayments, block 527, lot 384, Prologic. Block 526, lot 368, Logic. Resolution 21-203, refund for totally disabled veteran, block 249, lot 3, Huber. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Harry, I have a question on this. For some of them, do they have, say they have different properties, do they have to be updated, do they have to be current on all their taxes to receive a refund if they overpaid on a separate property? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think I do, and I'd like Danelle, if you can answer that, or Josh.
Sorry, I wasn't sure I was gonna take it. I believe that it has to do with the property. I can get you the actual answer though, although we do have our tax assessor on here. I don't know if she wants to speak up, but I can definitely get you that information. I'm fairly certain it has to do with the property. I don't think that we can hold.
Yeah, I believe it has to be lot specific, right? You can't, if they
Yes.
overpaid on one lot, we still have to give them their money back, but Josh, is there anything you can add to that?
No, I believe that's correct as well, that you cannot withhold for a non-related lot.
Okay, so even if they owe taxes on a different lot, they'll still get a refund.
Well, but what will happen on unpaid taxes is those taxes then go to lien and the liens are sold. The municipality then realizes the tax income.
Yeah, that's my understanding also. You can't, it's lot specific, as the council president just said.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tony. So we have a motion.
I'll make the motion on 21-198 through 21-203
Second.
to approve.
Sorry, second. Sorry, John, jumped in on you.
Roll call, please, Marcy.
Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we'll move on to number 9, resolutions. Resolution 21-196, resolution authorizing interlocal service agreement for administrative support services. This resolution authorizes an interlocal service agreement. May I have a motion to approve resolution 21-196?
Resolution to approve 21-196.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Advice from our lawyer, since I'm on the PTMUA, can I vote on this?
I believe you can vote, but if you're more comfortable not voting, that's fine also.
I'll abstain.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Just so Andrew, just so you know, I asked the same question during the MUA meeting, and our MUA attorney, I know you weren't present, he said there's no conflict of interest, but like Josh properly advised, if you're more comfortable, you do what you need to do.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, resolution 21-197, resolution authorizing the sale of surplus vehicles and property no longer needed for public use on an online auction website. This resolution authorizes the sale of surplus and property on an online auction. May I have a motion to approve resolution 21-197?
Motion to approve resolution 21-197.
Is there a second?
Second.
John? Okay, roll call, please.
Vice President Warburger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 21-204, resolution to amend resolution 20-216 to revise the Township of Vernon policy for public questions or comments during virtual meetings of the Vernon Township Council in accordance with the regulations of the Division of Local Government Services. This resolution amends resolution 20-216 to amend questions or comments during virtual meetings. May I have a motion to approve resolution 21-204?
Discussion.
Go ahead, Andrew.
This comes down to language, all right? When I look at paragraph, it says, now therefore it be resolved at the bottom. We're going from no later than 6:45 to 4 p.m. But when you read the change, it says, on the business day immediately preceding the scheduled meeting date. That can be misinterpreted as being the Friday instead of being the Monday. I am about simplicity when it comes to writing this. I mean, I respect the reason for this change being that we need to give Marcy some time to prepare. And out of fairness for her getting these emails, it does give the public still 4 days to write an email. But the way this reads right now, it looks like it could be a Friday or it could be a Monday. And I looked at this and say, it's up to the language. So can we simplify this and just say and click to the clerk no later than 4 p.m. on the scheduled meeting date and take out that other section?
Yeah, I think Kelly called on that same question today, and Marcy, you were going to do that, correct?
Yeah, I
Yes,
thought you spoke to Josh, right, Marcy?
I did speak to Josh, and that's exactly how it's going to be worded. Councilmember Pittsger, I already changed it on my copy.
Okay,
It's just going to say, instead of the 6:45, it's just going to say 4 o'clock. And that's going to really be the only change.
that's the only change then. Okay, I'm fine with that then.
Just for the sake of clarity, the resolution should be adopted as amended and as suggested by Councilmember Pittsger.
We're good with that, Marcy?
Yes.
Okay. Therefore, can I have the motion as amended by Councilperson Pittsger?
Motion to approve the amended version of resolution 21-204.
Is there a second? I'll
Second.
second. John's got it, okay. Roll call, please.
Vice President Warburger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
No.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes,
Councilmember Weller,
No.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries as amended.
Resolution 21-205. A resolution authorizing non-fair and open contract for real estate auction services to Max Van Real Estate and Action Company to conduct auction and sale of real property. This resolution authorizes a non-fair and open contract. May I have a motion to approve resolution 21-205?
Discussion on this.
Go ahead.
So is this to sell the properties that are listed in the other resolution?
I believe so. Mayor, can you clarify that? Or Danell?
I can clarify. Yeah, so this would be to sell those properties, to enter into a contract with them.
And can I, 10% seems like a lot. I know we're not paying it, but I looked up the New Jersey commission is usually about 5.18. So why are they charging? I mean, they're going to tack on that percentage to the sale price. So do we know why they're charging way beyond the amount that is usually charged by a realtor?
I don't have that information. I don't know if the mayor does.
No, I don't know. I hadn't noticed that. I hadn't checked to see. I wasn't aware that that was so different than perhaps what is called for. I apologize. The business manager is not here tonight because of a personal family matter, council person, but I don't know the answer to that question. If that's a factor in this resolution, I most certainly would be glad to get it to you later.
I will say from the previous one that we did several years ago, it's because they're not acting only as a real estate agent, they're also acting as an auctioneer. They do a lot of work bringing in the bids, the letters are going out, so there's additional work for that they have to do.
And do you remember offhand what that, I know things are different now, but I mean, you would think in this market, things would sell easier, maybe? I don't know. Just ask. It just seems so off compared to, I know they're acting as an auctioneer, but it just seems so, and again, we're not paying for it, so it makes it a little easier to swallow, but just seems off a little bit.
I can't address the percentages. But
Okay.
a lot of times these are lots that you can improve, so people will buy those lots, expand their lots if they're adjacent, and then if they want to add an addition or something, they then have a larger property. Some of the properties like the Failing Building, we tried to auction that off 3 different times. We got down to 100,000, and it still wasn't going. So even though we were taking less than the assessed value, it got back on the books as far as tax revenue. So a lot, you won't see it getting the assessed value, but you look long-term to get them back on, and people want to buy that lot and improve their property, et cetera. Like, look what they're doing to the Failing Building now.
No,
That's
I
improvements,
think that's all great, and I agree with selling them. I was just wondering why this broker was charging such a high commission rate, I guess. That was just my question.
I don't know if it's the industry standard or not. I just don't know.
Okay.
Any other discussion, questions?
Or do we have time? Should it be tabled until we
That's
get
what I
the
was just gonna
information?
say as well, John. Do we think that this should be tabled based on the fact that we need some clarity around the commission percentage?
I wish, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm not really so sure if this is time sensitive or not.
Danelle, is it time sensitive? Do you know?
I don't know. I hope you understand that the nuts and bolts of a lot of things the business administrator handles, and he most surely would be able to answer that for you. I
Right.
just don't know on that particular issue. I'm not saying it is, but I don't know. I know some things are.
Would Danelle know
Mayor,
if it's time sensitive? Or that's pretty
Okay,
much
so
fine.
I didn't handle this, but what I can say as far as Max Span goes, I know that they work around the state for these kind of sales. I know other municipalities have used them in the past, so I would venture to think that's probably standard.
Okay.
As far as time sensitive, I know that the administrator was looking to do this sale the end of October, but that would be contingent on that ordinance going through tonight. So if you had more questions on the ordinance and the contract specifically, then then obviously the council can make that decision if they wanted to wait. But then the sale would not be able to happen at the end of October because of the times with the 20-day estoppel period.
Okay, and like we said, we're not paying for those, so it's not like it's coming out of the town or taxpayers' money.
Correct.
Correct, okay.
Danelle, if the sale takes place and the fees and funds are collected this year, that goes as unanticipated revenue, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's miscellaneous revenue.
Okay. For next year's budget.
Well, it's not for, it would go towards fund balance, provided all of our
Right.
other revenues come in where they need to come in.
And that's what I was looking at for the fund balance.
Right.
Mayor, too, if it is, even if it's not postponed tonight, decide what the council members want to do. Can you get the list to all the council persons, because we are the open space committee at present? And I would ask each council person to breeze through it, see if you see any lots that might be adjoining DEP property, and maybe the DEP might be interested in buying. If there's any property that we would see in the future use for, just so we have eyes on it as the open space committee. And perhaps I can go to the GAC committee too, since they're the Greenway Advisory Committee. I don't know if they've already seen it, but I think.
think we have it.
What's that? You
I
did
think
get
we
it?
have it. Don't we have it
Okay.
here? Isn't that the list?
It's with the ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the Excel sheet. I know I saw it. I want to make sure everybody saw it. And if you could take the time, a few minutes to go over it. So I just want to make sure, we got to remember with the open space committee, and there are some large parcels there that perhaps they do adjoin DEP property. You're gonna have to look at the tax map and see if they're interested.
Mr. Council President, I'll make sure that all the appropriate committees get that. That's a good point. And I would ask that the council please not table this and pass this, because I believe it's probably time sensitive. But I'll make sure that all our appropriate committees get a copy of that list.
All right, council, do you want to make a motion? You want to postpone it? Do you want to vote on it tonight?
I'm sorry, Council President, if you want, I was just speaking with Kristen, our tax assessor. I don't know if anyone had any questions specifically about any of these properties. She did say she can give input if you would like to hear from her. I mean, she's the one obviously that deals with all the properties.
I invite her to speak if she's kind enough to speak. Absolutely. If she wants to explain it and answer any questions on the council, and this way it's right out in the public also.
Going to I'm going to unmute her so that she can. If I could find her right here. Okay. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Hi, Kristen. Thank you so much.
No problem. I wanted to tune in because I knew Chuck had something come up that was personal and he couldn't attend. I don't know about the 10% fee, but what I do know is what Donnell said is correct. I believe Max Span's opening for us to do the auction was the end of October. So this does make it a little bit time sensitive because we had to do 2 readings of the ordinance. The list of properties I've gone through 3 times. Irene has gone through it. It's basically every vacant parcel of land that the township owns that, to our knowledge, is not being used for something. For instance, the pump track lot is not on there. But pretty much everything else that's on there is every vacant piece of land that the township owns. So it is a good idea to have the open space committee look at it, every committee look at it, every council person. You guys should also review it. But it's a lot of properties. So I don't know if you had any specific questions about it, but I just wanted to chime in that it is time sensitive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Yep.
Kristen.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kristen. I will say it was, when we did it back, I think it was 2017, perhaps 2018, it was quite successful. And again, I'm going off my memory, I think we brought in about $400,000. That was directed to the fund balance. And then also, we had a lot of those properties now, we're back on the tax books. So we were collecting revenue. I know we were disappointed in some of the prices, but it's all about long-term sustainability. Trying to stabilize the taxes, and the more money that comes in, the better chance we have of sustaining our taxes in town.
Not only that, this is a good thing. Building up that fund balance is a key factor in the ratings that we get from Moody's. And that's a key factor in whenever we do have to go to bond and anything. So it's just a win-win all the way around for us.
And Mayor, I believe the way the ordinances or the resolutions or the ordinance is going to be worded is we can drop those properties prior to the sale. If all of a sudden, say the GAC committee or recreation, or somebody says, hey, wait a minute, we have long-term plans for that. That could be a parking lot next to a park or something like that, or DEP's interested. We could drop those
Absolutely.
properties, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Tony, I think one of the things you brought up, and I went online to investigate Backspan Real Estate and Auction Company. I was looking for what other real estate auction companies there were this afternoon. They all seem to be in the same range, but one of the things I realized looking at this is that not only do they do the auction, but they actually facilitate all of the advertisement and information. So yeah, I can see where you come from a real estate side, it's 6-7%, but also could we have done better? But knowing what this organization is and how big they are in New York City or New York State, as well as New Jersey, this is probably their standard boilerplate. But I don't know whether we can negotiate it any tighter than this, thinking about all the work they do. But
Okay.
good point. I really do appreciate you bringing that up.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve 21-205.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 20-206, resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $1,718,316 bond anticipation notes of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. This resolution authorizes the issuance of bond anticipation notes. May I have a motion to approve resolution 21-206?
Motion to approve 21-206.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 21-207, resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $2 million bond anticipation notes of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey. This resolution also authorizes the issuance of bond anticipation notes. May I have a motion to approve resolution 21-207?
Motion to approve 21-207.
Second that.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 21-208, renewal of pocket liquor license JD Lodge and Inn LLC, requiring special ruling in the Township of Vernon for the 2021-2022 licensing term. This resolution renews a pocket liquor license. Anyone want to have a discussion about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Andy.
Actually, first of all, after reading through all this, another one of these opportunities of economic development, we don't get any funds until this is used. And reading the information that was provided from Laura Scully, that there's an arbitration tentatively scheduled for them to be on September 28th, 2021. I'd like to table this until October, once they get the determination, and then the owners can come back to us and say they're ready to do this, or we can take this license and give it to somebody else who could utilize it in the town.
I agree.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So can I have a motion to table it? So what meeting you want to do? First one in October?
First one in October is my proposal. And that's if the owners come back with a response to this documentation on September 28th from Provident Bank.
May I make a comment? I have no objection to you tabling it, but I want to just make sure Mr. Pittsger and everyone knows there's no way you can take anybody's license. If they don't come back, well, we can either approve it or not approve it. They will still have it. There's no way we can force them to sell it or to do anything else with it. It's their property and we can't take it away from them. So, you just need to understand that. Don't anticipate that if they don't come back, we're gonna take it and give it to someone else. We can't. We can just not approve it.
Harry, is it any truth to it that it's not, their liquor license doesn't even come from the state? It's like, is tied to their mortgage? Is that true?
I don't know. Tell you,
It comes from the state, whether it's tied to their mortgage or not. I mean, they have to pay a state fee, you know, every year to renew it, as well as a local fee. You know,
But I thought the reason, my understanding, they couldn't sell it separately because it was tied to their mortgage. Do you know there's any truth to that?
well,
Like
that's
it goes with the building, which seems kind of,
what it sounds like. Her response to me when I asked her to explain, you know, to give an explanation for you in her email. I mean, I can't be sure of that, but I know that she does say that she is trying to sell that license to a person and have it stay in the same place. So that's what it sounds like.
It could or could not be. I don't know what the arrangements were. And it could or could not be with the building. But in regardless of what the situation is, there's no way that I'm aware of that we as a municipality could force that owner to do anything with that license. To my knowledge, I don't know of any way. Councilman Zelinski, am I right on that or wrong?
Thanks, Mayor. You are correct in that an owner is completely entitled to put the license in the pocket and to keep it into the pocket. So you can use the bully pulpit and try to force them through public comment to use the license and do something with it, but it certainly is their prerogative to put it in the pocket.
I mean, my concern is this has been going on for years. And again, it is their license. The place is absolute blight. The lawn hasn't been cut. It's overgrown with weeds. It's right on the town center.
are we fining them for that? Are we fining them? Giving them fines for their property looking like that, for vacant property? Why don't we start fining them?
Well, Council President Shortway addressed that issue with me. And I asked my zoning officer to make sure that she checks and make sure we're doing everything we can. I do apologize for the fact that I don't have an answer exactly for you on that now at this point in time. But those are sticks that we can use to tell people that if they don't do these things in addition to paying their taxes and what have you, we won't renew their license. But I'll make sure that we are doing everything that we possibly can to make that property look as well as it can. Council President Shortway is right. It's not a pretty sight. I want to make sure, though, that it's as pretty, for lack of a better word, as we can require them to make it.
And in they had a deal, I think it was in 2017 or 18, it fell through. It's because of the septic issue. It needs a new septic. At that time, the developer told me it was over 200,000. The MUA has been looking to extend the sewer service area. Is it cost effective to bring the pipe down? Don't forget you have a stream there, which I believe is a C1 stream. Are you going to go under it, over it? And how much other property there? Is it going to be cost effective? So these are all problems I understand they have with selling the property. But I would just like to follow through with Andrew's motion, and we hold off on this. And maybe she can get a letter of intent that somebody is interested in this. And I would much rather be there to try to help the people sell it, and new buyers, prospective buyers, to get the business going, because we hear it all the time. There's a lack of liquor license, ABC licenses for sale in town. You know, and I hear it from the young people all the time. They want other places to go instead of traveling down 94, if you know what I mean. It'd be great to stay in Vernon.
My comments were not meant to say that the council should not take the action that Councilman Pisker advocated. I just want to make sure you know that there is no way we can force them to sell their license. That's all.
No,
We
just
might be able to use a bully pulpit to force them to do some other, who knows? I mean, but it's not just cut and clear, is that, well, if they don't do this on this time, we'll take the license and sell it to someone else. That's not an authority that we have.
No, we don't have that, and I understand that, but this gives them a little bit more room to get that answered and bring it back to the town council once that's done. Because right now, we're putting the cart before the horse until they get that taken care of. Maybe they have plans. I'd like to hear them, but right now, we've done this 3 times now this year. And I think it's time we start putting the feet to the fire.
Agreed.
So I suggest we table it.
That's your motion, Andrew?
That's my motion. Table it. till
Have a
October
second?
meeting.
I
Tony's
second
on
it.
the second.
Mhm.
You want a roll call, please, Marcy?
Vice President Warburger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries to table this.
Okay, introduction. First reading of proposed ordinances. Ordinance 21-32, an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain land in Vernon Township to be sold at public auction in accordance with NJSA 40A:12-13A. This ordinance authorizes the sale of certain land to be sold at public auction. May I have a motion to introduce ordinance 21-32?
Motion to,
Sorry, go ahead, Andy.
go ahead, Kelly, ladies first.
Motion to introduce ordinance 21-32.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Warburger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public hearing, second reading of ordinances. Ordinance 21-25, ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County, Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing changes to 330 entitled Land Development to permit retail sales of legalized cannabis. This ordinance amends and supplements Chapter 330 of the Township Code. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 21-25?
Motion to open to the public.
Go John,
Second.
motion, Andrew second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Seeing no one, the floor is open.
I don't see any hands, Council President.
Okay, seeing no one desires to speak on this matter, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Any
Motion to
emails,
close.
Marcy?
Nope, sorry, Andy.
No. Any
No, no.
emails? Okay,
Not for this, no.
go ahead, Kelly.
Motion to close to the public.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anybody abstaining? Seeing none? Floor is closed. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-25?
Motion to adopt 21-25.
Is there a
Second that.
second? John, Andrew, second. Roll call, please.
Vice President Warburger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
No.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
No.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 21-28, ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County, Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 330 entitled Land Development or regulate multi-generational family accommodations. This ordinance amends Chapter 330 of the Township Code. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 21-28?
Motion to open to the public.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Seeing none, the floor is now open to the public.
I have Peg DeStassi.
Thank you. I am opposed to this for one reason. I personally had to move a family member into my home to be able to care for them. To ask people to go to the expenditure of accommodating them, first, for instance, ramps and kitchens and bathrooms and such, and then say, once the person dies, you have to remove everything, I think is an unfair financial burden I think there should be a way of approaching this, and it should be looked at further. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have Sean Clark in.
All right. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good evening.
I'm just going to speak about this one particular matter. You're discouraging homeowners from investing in their properties. All right. Many communities like ours end up with larger, more beautiful houses over the time that the property has been in existence. The first owner may not be the one that renovates the property. The next owner buys it, he adds a bathroom. Somebody else does something else. You're starting, I haven't read all the ordinances that you're looking to do. Honestly, I don't want to be aggravated by it. But limiting how many front doors somebody can have and needing a separate entrance to another part of a property where a relative or a child may live, I think you're overstepping your bounds. You're starting to take away rights of American citizens to do what they want with their own properties. So I don't know all the information, but you're heading down a very dark trail and discouraging homeowners from investing in their properties. I'm going to take the liberty to jump back a couple of conversations. When commercial properties or land is sold, 10% is not an outrageous dollar amount. For
Mr. Clark, and I'm sorry, but this is only for the ordinance. It's not for what prior discussion, so please keep it to this ordinance.
All right, just in reference to this ordinance, you're making decisions now that none of you fully understand. And so far, what I've heard tonight, you've made a few decisions and voted on a few things that nobody in this meeting understands the full length of it. So don't make ordinances for things you don't understand. How many of you have spoken to a real estate agent about any of this? Anybody? Okay, so you're not breaking ranks and you're not answering questions. My number's pretty easy to find. I'm not always such an obnoxious person as I may appear now. Usually during the day, I'm pretty mild-mannered. I would strongly suggest that you reach out to any real estate agent that you know and find out what ramifications this slap-happy ordinance thing is going to have on the community. All right. And that goes for this and anything else that you're doing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have Ann Larson.
Hello, thank you for choosing me to talk. So I do want to say one thing, that what you're trying to do is seize personal property. If someone invests in a property and needs it for their mother, their grandmother, whomever is staying with them, and then at the end of their, I guess, license, you're calling it, to use it for grandma, you are seizing the assets that were used to generate that home for the grandparent. You're taking away the ability for some young families to care for aged family members at a price when real estate is at its all-time high and the elderly may not be able to afford to be on their own. You are crippling not only those people, but the next generation who may purchase such a home and have need for the exact same thing. I mean, many families years ago came to this country with extended generations within the same family, with the same home. And yet you're cutting them off at the knees by saying they have to remove these improvements and bring it back to the typical standard when they've already received building permits to make the improvements. It's seizing personal property. It's beyond the scope of authority. And I tell you, I have to agree in this case with Mr. Clarkin, it is beyond your rights. It really is. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
I have Jesse Palladini.
Yeah, I'm kind of speechless on this ordinance. It just, I don't get the rationale. It defies logic. It seems punitive. It almost seems as though you're going after specific people who have these types of properties. To have somebody pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to add to a home to accommodate family members and then tell them that they have to rip it out when that person dies or moves out or anything, that's outrageous to me. And I question if it's even legal that you give somebody a permit to build that structure. You're allowing them, you're permitting them, which means it's permissible. And then you're going to turn around and say to them, okay, now it's not permissible, you've got to take it out. I don't know where you folks are coming from, but this is just beyond the pale. You're certainly not going to listen to me, but I really wish you would think twice before adopting such a punitive ordinance such as this. And that's all I have to say. And I don't have a mother daughter, so please don't come knocking on my door. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I don't see any other hands, Council President.
May I have a motion to close the floor to the public since no other member desires to speak?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstain? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, floor is closed. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-20?
Can we have a discussion?
Sure.
I feel like I agree with the public on this. To me, it makes no sense. We let them put this in and then we take it out and it doesn't go with our township master plan, but pot shops do. This to me makes absolutely no sense. Why would we allow it in the first place? Why would you say yes? And then something happens and then it's no, and then they have to take it out. I don't know. Just
When we
my,
first Tony, to address that, if my memory serves me correct, and Josh or Mayor, please jump on. When we first passed it, we didn't want to say no to families that wanted to bring in a parent or another family member. The problem is if they move on to a nursery home, or if they move out, or if they pass on, we now have a problem. We're having illegal 2 families in residential zones zoned for 1 family.
But isn't it considered a mother-daughter? Those homes exist, right? There are mother-daughters that are for sale.
Yeah, they're mother daughters, but that doesn't mean you start turning it into a 2-family house, meaning
No.
not related. That's what zoning said at the last time we passed this ordinance.
Council President, you're correct. The concern here is that after the relative or family member who was no longer living there, who the mother-daughter was constructed for, the house is then rented, and now in single family neighborhoods, have multifamily dwelling.
well, isn't that up to the zoning officer to go and check that out? It doesn't mean you have to rip it out, but you just stay on top of these things. You know who does, you do a check, you see who's living there.
Well, you still have, it doesn't resolve the issue of multifamily housing in single family neighborhoods where it's not permitted. And that was what we're trying to guard against.
May I comment on this?
I don't know.
Of course.
I looked at this from a safety prospect, is that it says it in the first sentence, whereas the town of Vernon seeks to ensure that single family dwellings are not improperly converted. And that, I think, is where the ties into is it improperly converted or utilized. To me, this was a safety concern and making sure that they're done correctly. And that's where I kind of went right from the basis of that. And then the land, we have a memorandum here that there was a public hearing from the land use board on September 8th, and they also did not see any problems with it. So, we can bring it back, throw it back to them and have a discussion more about it and take it that way. But I looked at this as more as a safety precaution of protecting everybody in the dwelling that is not improperly done. And I know working with the zoning people and the building people, they're pretty good about working with you if there's an issue. So I don't know whether it's been overdone with all the wording, but again, one of these documents where there's a lot of verbiage and a lot of interpretation.
We're actually saying to them, you can do it as a mother-daughter relationship, multi-generational family members. We're saying, yes, you can do it. but it cannot turn into a two-family by this ordinance. And
But
this
we're
gives
saying
you
that they
the
have to
ability
undo it though. When that person passes, they have to then undo it and is
Yeah,
it
I don't-
that they don't down the road turn it into a two-family home?
Well, what's
what the-
undoing it?
The
What are you gonna
ordinance
do to
requires
undo it?
them, the ordinance
sorry.
requires them to remove the kitchen appliances.
Should this ordinance then be reworded in a little bit more simplistic legalese?
Who's going to check on all that? Like, who's going to check if someone passes away? Who's going to check that the appliances aren't there? This whole thing doesn't make sense to me. They're gonna have to, they're going to have to put something in that someone passes away. They have to put that to the town. That's the town's business to know if someone passes away in their family. I don't know. I think it's just, I agree. I think it's, I don't know.
Well, it's not the town's business. It's like anything. You know, there's the law and you choose to follow it or not. It's like, do
I
we
don't
catch
agree
every-
with this
from-
law.
From traffic, but let me finish, Tony, please.
Sorry.
Everybody, no, they don't follow it. So let's say speed limit. Do we check every single car on the roads that's doing the speed limit? No, but if your neighbor, right, if you do get stuck in a radar trap, or in this case, if your neighbor reports that unfortunately somebody passed away and now it's a two-family, this shows we have an ordinance. We're saying, yes, you can do it, but it's only to permit multi-family generations living in the house. You don't want to become like other communities where all of a sudden the whole block, the whole street is two-family houses. So it's really a zoning issue and the land use board has approved it also. And we passed it previously.
Councilmember Chili, your point's well taken. No one's going to be checking, snooping around or trying to find that out. That's not something we even have time to do. But at some point in time, someone is going to say, there's a two-family house next to me. I don't want it. I see all these cars parked out here. They're literally renting this place out all the time. This is supposed to be a single-family resident. If they come to the town, now we've got an ordinance that's where we can literally go to that owner and say, dear owner, this is a single-family resident, and you've got a two-family. You can't have two families living there. To prevent that from happening, one of the things that we're doing is simply asking them to remove some things. I mean, some of the kitchen appliances from that. So I hear your question. Who's going to check on that? Who's going to be doing that? No one, that's not going to be an active role that anyone's going to be doing. But at the same time, for those individuals whose property values are high or based on the fact they live in a single family community, we need to try to protect them. This is not like a on and off, a real clear kind of thing, but it's the best solution that I think that we could come with.
And I just want to say, I agree with that. I agree that there shouldn't be multi-family homes in single family neighborhoods. I agree 100%, but I just think maybe we just have to trust people more. I mean, to have them take away things that they bought, like how do you know someone else in their family is not going to become ill and be brought back in? Maybe we can write an ordinance where it's not this, but it's just multifamily housing. You can't rent an apartment in your home. Like, why does it have to say, they have to take it? So someone calls and says, oh, they're renting the house next to me. It's two family. Okay, well, we have an ordinance. It can't be a two family. That makes sense. But to have people take out stuff that they bought and purchased seems wrong, right? No?
I agree. I don't know. I think a mother-daughter is a mother-daughter. A two-family home is a two-family home. I think they're different. They're different. Just my thought, but.
Any other discussion? Questions?
I just think the ordinance can be worded better. But that's just my opinion.
Based on what I've heard, I think we need to kick this back and from the public as well, and ask the author of this to rewrite it so that we cover those areas in detail. That's my proposal.
I'm
So
okay
you're
with,
asking to rewrite it, reintroduce it, and then go for adoption.
That's the way I would propose it, since we've heard so much about this and there's so many misunderstandings and the way it's worded. I mean, I took seeks to ensure that single-family dwellings are not improperly converted. I get it, but obviously there's a lot of misinterpretations here, and there needs to be some more clarity to it. Bring it back to the authors, let them write it so that it does respond to everybody's needs and concerns, and then bring it back to us.
My suggestion would be, if you're gonna go back to the author, not more than two of you, you sit down and you actually sit with the author and you put in what you want. Don't
I'm
just
fine with
ask
that.
them to just do it, and then we go through this again. You
I'm
need to
fine with
take the
that.
time and sit
I'm
with
fine.
them with legal advice and do it. That way we get it done right.
okay, thank you. I like that idea.
Tony, can you and I work on that together?
Sure.
Okay,
So are we looking for a motion to table this or to
Yep.
how to
I'll make a
proceed?
motion. Probably make the
Motion,
motion,
we throw it
vote
back
on
to
it,
the
vote down if
author.
you decide to do that, and then start all over again, because that's what you're proposing.
Mhm.
I'll have to
That's
start
the-
all over again. Is that correct, Josh?
Yeah, that's the appropriate way to go, is to make the motion, have the ordinance be voted down, and then reintroduce the revised ordinance at a later date.
Okay, motion to table ordinance 21-28.
Well, Tony, make
Second.
the motion first to vote on it. You
Oh,
don't want
so
to table it, you want to kill it,
I want to kill it. Yes.
right? I mean, that's what you're
Yes.
asking for. You want to rewrite the whole thing, so you need to vote on
Yes.
it first and see how that vote goes.
Okay.
Just really quick though, Councilperson Chill, if you introduce the ordinance, you'll have to vote yes for it. It's a point of order.
I have to vote yes on this ordinance?
If you introduce it,
Oh, okay.
because you're the sponsor of it by making the motion.
Yes, okay.
I'll make the motion then to introduce it, 2129.
Second it.
Roll call, please.
Sorry, who seconded it?
I did.
Thank you. Vice President Auerberger,
Since I made the motion, I have to say yes.
That's correct.
Councilmember Chili,
No.
Councilmember Pittsger,
No,
Councilmember Weller,
No.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion does not carry.
Okay, next ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing 99-33 of the Municipal Code of the Township of Vernon entitled Schedule 9. Stop intersections. This ordinance amends and supplements 99-33 of the Township Code. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 21-29?
Motion to open the public.
Second,
second.
Tony's on the second,
Kelly.
or Kelly? Okay, sorry about that, Kelly.
It's okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Seeing none? Floor's open.
I don't see any hands, Council President.
Okay, seeing no members of the public desire to speak on this matter, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion to close the floor to the public.
Kelly? Right. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Seeing no one, floor is closed. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 21-29?
Motion to adopt 2129.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auerberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes,
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, ordinance 21-30, ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 94 of the Code of the Township of Vernon regarding the Police Division to authorize the hiring of entry-level law enforcement officers without an examination requirement. This ordinance amends Chapter 94 of the Township Code. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 21-30?
Motion open to the public on ordinance 21-30.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? One abstaining, seeing no one. Floor is open now to the public.
I have Peg DeStacy.
I just have one question. Why is this ordinance required? It makes no sense to me. What is the purpose of reducing the requirements to hire a policeman? We already had one that's been brought up on multiple charges of things. Why are you making it easier for people to be hired without meeting requirements? It makes no sense. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have Sean Clarkin.
I'm Sean Clarkin. I live up in Barry Lakes. I've been in Barry Lakes since 1995. Over the years, I've had several different occasions for speaking to the Vernon Police Department, and they've always been extremely professional. I always felt that they recognized that I was a citizen of the community and not somebody driving through. I think the quality of our police officers is very, very good. So why would we want to change that? Why do we want to lower the standard by allowing less qualified people to fill a position? The more qualified officers, you're lessening their value, okay? Because now you've got two officers standing in the street. One of them's better qualified than the other. So are we setting up different tiers for payment? Is this a means of saving money? I don't understand why we have to lower the standard of our police officers. We want the most experienced officers. We don't want somebody who hasn't taken an exam. We also want officers who continue their education, all right, who continually get trained and advance their careers. We don't want somebody why lower the standard? Can anybody, when you're done with the open to the public, can you state what the benefits are of this? The amount of information that's supplied to the public about the agenda is fairly limited, and you may want to expand the website to start to include some of that information to better educate the citizens to participate in these meetings. But lowering the standard of our police officers, I don't understand why. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have Jesse Palladini.
I just want to say that I think up until now, or pretty recently anyway, we've had an exceptional police department. I have worked with them for many years, back in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and I think they are exceptional officers. Why you want to lower the standard, I don't understand. We had a town manager who stole our taxpayer funds and went to prison. We had another town manager who had something like 32 jobs in 6 years because nobody really checked her background. And we've had so many problems in our town with people who were hired, who were not qualified. Why would you want to lower that standard for police officers? I just don't get the rationale of this council, unless you have people in mind you want to put in those positions who may not qualify otherwise. I just don't understand why you would lower that standard. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands, Council President.
May I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion to close the floor to the public.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anybody abstaining? Seeing none.
Council President, just as a quick point of order, it looks like there was a hand raised by Miss Christine Dunn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
Thank-
Ms. Dunn.
yeah, please allow her
Thanks.
comment.
This is Christine Dunn in Glenwood. And I just think with all the scrutiny you see in the news with the police and everything, I don't think it's a good idea to lower our standards. I mean, God forbid if something happens in our town that something is questionable and then they found out the person that is supposedly the police officer hasn't even had the proper training. So see, these are the things that I kind of wish that you guys would be able to answer questions for. I mean, they're just genuine questions. And I have to go on Facebook or whatever and I never get the questions answered by the people that are making the decisions. So at least I hope you guys listen to us. Thank you.
Go back to the motion to close the floor. There's no other hands first, right?
Not at this second. No, I don't see any.
Okay, can I have the motion? Let's go through it again. Can I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion to close the floor to the public.
Second,
Second it.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Seeing no one, the floor is closed. Discussion. I'll
May
start it
may I make
out.
a
Mayor, you
comment?
want to start it or I'll start it?
May I make a comment, comment, Mr. Council
Absolutely, Mayor.
President? This ordinance is not requested by any council member nor the mayor. While it's requested by the mayor from the standpoint of the administration, this is an ordinance that's requested by our chief of police. This changes zero standards, no standards whatsoever. There is a move around the state of New Jersey, especially in civil service towns, and we are a civil service town. Civil service towns must only take, when there's a promotion that's open, you must only take officers who, the top 3 on the list. A lot of time, the top 3 on the list are not the people who you want. While I'm a veteran, veterans gets points to go on the top of the list. Every veteran is not necessarily the best person to be a police officer. But if you're going to fill that spot, if you are a civil service town, you must take one of those top 3. And and you must take the veteran if in case that one or two of those are veterans. They all must go through the same test, the same standards. What this will do, this will allow our police department to not only look at the civil service list, but to choose from a list of police officers that have already gone through the academy. It saves us an awful lot of money. In fact, what many departments are doing, they are hiring those officers. One of the attractive things about our town is that we live in a good town. It's a good place to be a policeman. It's much better a place to be than a lot of other places. And if we find an individual who has already gone through the academy, or even in the process of going through the academy, if we can offer that person a job and get that person, we'll get the person who's taken all of the tests that every other police officer in the state of New Jersey has. The real big difference then is that we don't have to pay that academy cost, which is somewhat expensive. And it just gives us options, that's all. So this is not at all lowering the standard at all.
Mayor, I want to concur with you. I also was a police training instructor for 17 years at the Vernon County Police and Fire Academy. This in no way lowers the standards. If anything, it saves the taxpayers money because the individuals we can hire, they are vetted by the academy. They have to go through the academy and then we can choose. On the other way, you can hire somebody by the rule of 3 under civil service and they will wash out of the academy and then we lose the money. So this way we've seen what they've done with their training before we hire them.
And I'll tell you, our chief of police has said, please, we really need this. We absolutely need this. So I see no negative here. I know most of the police officers that are on our force. And quite frankly, this will prevent us from making a mistake sometimes of getting some of those people simply because they are the top 3. We will know that they've already gone through the academy. We know a lot more about them than we will with people who have simply just taken a test and finished in the top 3.
Also, this was brought up last meeting and Chuck went through the details of the same questions that have come up, but also talking with the chief. This is an opportunity for him to have a lot of ownership of who is hired and making sure it's successful. And I've heard it. I mean, we have a great police force, and I've got to trust that the chief's going to do the right thing here. And this ordinance pretty well outlines the details to it. And there's a lot of requirements that are going behind this. So, I mean, I hear the public's concerns, but I think that we've got this secured in every way possible.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Just motion to adopt 2130.
Second that.
Roll call, please.
I'm just writing. Vice President Auberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chili,
Yes.
Councilmember Pittsger,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, let's public comment limited to 3 minutes on any topic. Please note public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and where you reside for the record. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion to open the floor to the public.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Hearing, seeing no one, the floor is now open to the public.
I did receive 3 emails. I'm going to read them first, if that's okay.
Sure.
First one is from Jordan Lehman. It says, I'm a 9-year nurse and resident of Vernon Township. I would like to once again call for no confidence in Council President Harry Shortway. Your mismanagement of this township has not gone unnoticed. Your waste of COVID relief funds and taking them away from the resources that need them is completely despicable. I am calling for your immediate resignation. Your personal attacks on township residents, especially Walter Marsico, is horrendous. And you should not be allowed to hold any government position that is in charge of our residents. You are unfit to lead this township and a detriment to all taxpayers under your regime. And that's from Jordan Lehman. My next email that I received is from Walter Marsico Sr., a 48-year tax-paying resident and developer in Vernon Township, responding to Mr. Shortway's inquiry at the last council meeting, and far more importantly for the Marsico situation. However, is the fact that the appeals hearing was in effect preempted by the ruling authority, the Director of Department of Community Affairs. Mr. Zielinski failed to reference that the Director of the Department dispatched an investigator to Vernon Township to examine the files on this matter and also interview department members. Their finding was that Robert Westenberg's denial of Mr. Marsico's TCO and additional conditions he assessed to the TCO were illegal. The DCA then immediately ordered the issuance of his TCO, which was retroactive to the completion of health and safety elements of the construction and subsequent inspections. Having been in compliance, Mr. Marsico's TCO voided the condition to which Vernon assessed fines that were therefore null and void. There is also the matter of COA fees, which was extorted from him in order to obtain his building permit. He paid the fee under duress and in protest. Mr. Marsico Jr. then deferred the matter to Mr. Zielinski in a letter dated 2017. He also petitioned the state of New Jersey, which in a letter from Cindy Larson on March 28, 2018, stated he was not required to pay the COA fee. Additionally, Vernon's ordinance also states that an owner occupant of a dwelling is exempt from paying a COA fee. Mr. Zielinski also acknowledged his exemption from COA in a letter to his attorney. Vernon, however, refused to return the COA payment. Asked for Council President Shortway's inquiry into the status of the Marsico situation. I hope this answers the question more factually than Mr. Zelinski's comic book version. Hold on to your purse strings, Vernon residents. Tax time is coming and Vernon is hungry for money. All documents substantiating the above are available upon request. And the last email I received is from Walter Marsico Jr., a 40-year plus resident of Vernon Township. I am a taxpayer, business owner, and served in law enforcement for the past 14 years and real estate for the past 20. My father, Walter Marsico Sr., is the original developer of Settlers Notch, which put Vernon Township on the map. Tonight, I would like to address the ludicrous comments made by Josh Zelinski at the last council meeting. For the record, I would like to state the facts surrounding the matter I have against the township since Josh cannot get his facts straight. Since 2017, Josh has done nothing to resolve this ongoing matter caused by Vernon's Rouge officials, other than racking up legal fees for the town, for the Vernon Township taxpayers. Several erroneous comments were made by Mr. Zelinski at the August 23rd council meeting. He stated Mr. Marsico failed to attend the appeals meeting. Well, Mr. Zelinski, let's state the facts that surround the meeting. Did you advise the public that you canceled one of the scheduled meetings because a few days prior to the meeting you were not available? Or was that because I supplied the board with over 150 pages of evidentiary documents that you were grossly unprepared? Josh, did you mention that the Sussex Board of Appeals failed to carry out the June meeting that I was present for and ready, willing, and able? That meeting was canceled 5 minutes in due to technical difficulties. Then Michelle Metzger, Secretary of the Department Administration for the Sussex County Board of Appeals, stated on record that she would come up with 3 dates to choose from. Those dates were never furnished, and Ms. Metzger selected her own date, to which I was unable to schedule time off, once again on such short notice. But the facts don't matter to you, Mr. Zelinski. Let's also discuss how Ms. Metzger blocked my email address from supplying important documents and communicating with the Board of Appeals during an active investigation. Is that legal, Mr. Zelinski? Blocking communication in a public forum? You are an attorney, correct? I have my doubts, especially since you failed to supply your law license through an OPA request. More importantly, in the Marsico matter is the fact that the state of New Jersey investigated Mr. Westenberg along with township files and found them to be in violation of issuing a TCO, which is also a civil rights violation. Josh, maybe you should review the UCC handbook. This illegal action conducted by Mr. Westenberger has caused the state of New Jersey to issue the TCO and backdate it retroactively. The matter also exists that Vernon Township has extorted COA funds from me and has refused to pay it back. You remember that, Josh? You emailed my attorney that you agreed I was exempt. So, Mr. Shortway, I hope this helps give you a better understanding to your concern from the last council meeting in regards to the Marsico situation. This is why it pays to do your research before answering questions in regard to a very serious matter. For the record, Mr. Zelinski, the Marsico matter is far from over, and I am also waiting for a response to who the town creep is that has been trespassing and taking pictures inside my bedroom windows at night. The following is the UCC code that was violated by Mr. Westenberger. If a code official or any government agent requires someone to do something that is more than the law requires, that can be interpreted as a violation of the U.S. Civil Rights Act of 1960. The Act 42 U.S.C. 1974 reinforces the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution Bill of Rights that protects from unlawful taking of private property. The courts have ruled that withholding permission to occupy property that complies with the law code is a civil rights violation. Triple damages may be awarded. And that's the the 3 emails that I received.
Thank you, Marcy.
You're welcome. I have Sean Clarkin. Mr. Clarkin.
Hello again. All right, I'm going to try to cover all the things that I didn't have an opportunity to say. Again, the agenda for these meetings, half the time you're voting on things and the citizens that are watching have no idea what you're voting on. If the agendas were more detailed on the website, people could participate more. I understand that the more people who participate, the harder your job gets, but as public servants, you work for us. And getting the agendas to be more transparent would definitely be a major plus in helping Vernon citizens understand what you're doing. I'm going to jump down my list a minute. I think that the police officer issue that was discussed today was very poorly presented to the public. I think that if you did a better job in the agenda presenting the facts, I think more citizens would be open to some of the things that you're doing. All right. I'm curious, the academy, how much does the academy cost? And if I understood correctly, you're not lowering the standard of the police officers that you're hiring, but if you pass this ordinance, you'd be able to solicit police officers from other jurisdictions. You'd be able to go to Wayne and hire police officers from Wayne to come up and work in New Jersey, and they don't have to go through the academy. If that's what I understood, then that's relatively a good idea. It allows us to look for better quality police officers. However, if you're willing to take a high school kid who hasn't gone through the academy, it just doesn't make sense. And that's what most of the public thinks you were looking to do. So a better description of the agenda items would really help the citizens to understand what you're doing. You're going to rewrite the 2-family house ordinance business, okay? You should have 2 real estate agents sitting there with you assisting. I suggest you get somebody who's got 8 to 10 years of experience. And I suggest that you realize when houses in Vernon are sold, they are listed on the MLS as a 1-family or a 2-family. And that's a zoning issue. So you're looking to write an ordinance instead of enforcing the zoning codes. You're looking to enforce an ordinance that forces people to remove things from their houses. This is a zoning issue. And a zoning officer should be knocking on doors of houses where it's reported that it's a 2-family, 2 separate families living instead of 1. That's a zoning issue, okay? Get your zoning department to fulfill that aspect of it and save us all a lot of trouble, okay? I'm going to jump down my list again here for a minute. Okay, the question about Legends and their license. If their liquor license is tied to their property and they're not paying their property taxes, you could not only foreclose on the property, but you could foreclose on their liquor license. Now, this is a bombshell. What I'm going to mention here, Harry, this is particularly because of your vacant property ordinance. I just sold a property at 211 Waconia, and it's 2 brothers. One brother lives in Highland Lakes full-time with his family. The other brother lives in Fort Lee. The brother in Fort Lee comes up and spends weekends at the cabin, okay? And they try to fight the $500 fine they got from the administration of Vernon. They tried to fight it, and it was a cluster. And I ended up writing a check this week for the $500 so that they could sell the house, okay? You're going after citizens for vacant houses, and here comes the bomb. You're not going after Legends I think this is called selective enforcement. You'll go after a little guy who owns the $150,000 bungalow where he comes and sleeps on the floor on the weekends. God's honest truth. He used an air mattress. Okay. And you're not going after legends. What's going on? Selective enforcement? Not at all a good idea. Not at all a good idea. Okay. Jumping down my list again. All right. The last item was the police academy, which I already mentioned. So thank you very much, guys. All right. I'm sure you all work. I think you need to break up into groups or something and get in contact with some professionals who know about the matters that you're voting on, because this was very haphazardly done. There were major questions about a percentage to be paid to a realtor, and you guys went ahead and voted on it, or you didn't vote. It just, you're not prepared for these items, and you need to reach out to the citizens of Vernon that you work for. If you reach out to the citizens of Vernon, they will help you. They will explain to you what you need to know to make the right decision to run the town in a better way. Okay? I'm pretty sure my 3 minutes are up. Thank you for not cutting me off. Reach out to the citizens. There's a lot of good citizens out here that can help you, and you obviously need help. Okay? Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You're welcome.
I have Christine Dunn.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Christine Dunn again. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for explaining to me about the police ordinance, because after you guys did explain it to me, I totally makes sense now. And I'm still on the fence about it, but I want to talk to maybe somebody that I know in the police department about it. But I mean, now it makes sense. Whereas before it felt like I said, with all the defunding of the police and all that, it made it sound like maybe you guys wanted to go towards that way and have not maybe police officers, but like, a little less like what they want to do in other cities and things. So I just wanted to make sure, and I thank you for explaining it to me. It makes me feel much better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have Jesse Palladini.
Yes, I just want to say that I'm on the same wavelength as Sean Clarkin and Christine Dunn. If you could only be transparent in your actions and your dealings, I too was totally against what you were doing with the police thing. But when you explained it, it seemed more reasonable. I'm not sure, how I feel about it entirely, but what you explained seemed so much more reasonable. If you would just be transparent and share with the public what you're doing. As far as the subject property of the liquor license, Ms. Chili asked, well, can't we find them or something? And the answer to that is yes, you absolutely can. You have a property maintenance code. And that's what the property maintenance code was designed for. There's a whole list of things, including property that has not been mowed. If you're going to find property owners who are actively working on their properties, why not those who are in violation of the property maintenance code? These next two things was reserved for my second public comment period, but since I already addressed them in the first, I'll just quickly reiterate. Please do not ask Carrie Shortway when you are allowed to go back for live meetings, or make comments such as, I know we're not allowed to answer the public. These are not Harry Shortway's decisions to make. They are yours collectively. And here's how you do it. Motion, second, vote, done. John Auberger, I am asking you to do the right thing and disqualify yourself for candidacy for Vernon Township Council because you violated election law by leaving your petition on a counter unattended. Don't even attempt to make excuses. We have tons of photographs. We have videos. Several people filed complaints to have you disqualified, but unfortunately we missed the deadline for challenging it. I should have known there was a deadline, and I regret that I didn't, but you must think that you got one over on us. But the right thing to do would be to remove yourself from the ballot because of this flagrant violation. Vernon government has a history of election law violations. And so far they've gotten away with it because no one has challenged it or complained. But I'm asking you to do the right thing and disqualify yourself for that violation. Lastly, I just want to say that we have not heard about the Baldwin property in months. I believe it was since February. But we now know that it has significant lead contamination. Lead, Mayor Burrell, is toxic. We also now know that the DEP sued the Baldwins for contamination on both the trail property and the adjacent property, which, by the way, is contiguous to the town's illegal dump. And since lead is toxic, as I requested over and over again, that you do sufficient testing on the dump property, it seems that my comment of potential toxic land was right on target. So I am again asking you to do deep soil borings of the pump track property before putting a shovel into the ground. And regardless of what you say or what DEP says, they did come up, they did inspect, they did see buried asphalt. That's where we'd like the testing to be done, not at some random location where nothing has been dumped. So I'm going to ask you once again to please do significant deep soil borings where the pump track property is going, now that we know that the whole rest of the contiguous adjacent property is toxic.
I'm going to call on Peg DeStassi.
Thank you. It's long past time for us to be holding public meetings. I don't care what your excuses are. Every other committee in this town is holding in-person public meetings. It's time, get with the program. I am sure that most of the council members entered the government to do what is right for the Vernon residents. I commend Tony and Kelly for voting no tonight and standing up for the multiple residents on multiple issues tonight. To the rest of you, I say, do not let your reputations be spoiled by the struggle of power of one individual and be associated with trying to quell the voice of the people. Since Mr. Auberger obtained signatures without personally witnessing them as required by state law, I hereby ask him to do the right thing and remove himself from the ballot in November. I also want to state that since this evening, we have received some transparent explanations and information on issues. It would have made this entire meeting much easier if that had been done up front. Why is it that we have to pull information out of you to understand what's going on? This information should be readily available and easily obtained so that intelligent decisions can be made, and we wouldn't have to go through this every 2 weeks. Consequently, again, I am asking the mayor to request the resignation of Harry Shortway on a vote of no confidence due to the fact that multiple items were voted on this evening without accurate and complete information, and yet he allowed that to go through. That is a shame. Those items should have been shelved and readdressed at a different meeting. Just because something is time sensitive doesn't mean it's right to vote on it. There were questions on the floor that were not answered, and that should have been shelved. Lack of transparency on this council has been a major problem since day one, as it was when the Shortway was the mayor. There seems to be the feeling that it's right to keep the public in the dark. Council members, I am begging you, start standing up for what is right, transparency and information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have Ann Larson.
Hello again, and thank you. I just have a couple of things I wanted to go over, if I may, please. Regarding the mother-daughter homes, we're forgetting one step in the process, is that every time a property is rented, the smoke cert is supposed to be done, and our officer goes there. Our officer would know, our zoning officer who goes there, the smoke cert people would know that it's a rental property, not a mother-daughter. They would know that when they got there, because you're asking the names of the individuals and so forth. So it wouldn't be a surprise that some neighbors calling up and complaining and saying, hey, there's a two-family next to me. When the property was leased, the town ought to have known that. You also register the property, if you're doing it properly, within the township. So none of these things are secrets. So I feel like we just keep making laws when we already have laws that truly are sufficient. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Also, regarding the commission for the real estate commission charged for the auctions. For example, I don't know who does negotiating for you, but there are people who actually do know how to negotiate, and they're procurement agents and things in other companies that know how to do these kind of things. You may pay 10% for one parcel to be handled that way. When you're paying for multiple parcels at the same time, that's when you get a discount. You don't pay top freight for multiple parcels, for dozens and dozens of parcels. So whoever came up with this agreement really did you all a disservice, and quite frankly, voting on it without the information did everyone else a disservice as well. Regarding the police and the lack of, or the lower standard, I actually feel even more strongly, unlike the other people on this call session. First off, the mayor used the name of the chief of police. I feel that's inappropriate. It's almost like in a court of law, hearsay doesn't matter. You don't just go and say Ann Larson said this. The man's a grown man. If he felt it, he could come here and say it to everyone at a meeting. I'm sure you'd ask him to speak. But hearing what the justification is, it tells me that this is a workaround around the civil rights law. I mean, if the civil service law says you hire a veteran first, no offense, Mr. Morrell, but that's who we hire first. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You give us these excuses for why we're going to go around the law, and before you know it, that boomerang comes back and hits you in the back of the head when it's used for the wrong purposes. The laws are in place for a reason, and quite honestly, we should follow them, whether it's convenient or not. Just like Mr. Shortway said, it's not convenient to do 35 and a 35, but you know what? We're supposed to follow the hiring practices. So it may sound like a good idea, and I don't think it's appropriate throwing the chief's name around when he's not here. That's inappropriate in my opinion. But that said, if the law is we hire the top 3 candidates on the list, we should be following the law, nothing less. That's it, over and out.
Thank you.
I see no other hands, Council President. Oh, I'm sorry. I have Beverly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to answer Mayor Burrell's question before regarding the mother-daughter homes, additions, or whatever you're calling it. Who's going to go snooping around? Well, Mayor Burrell, you can go get the person who snooped into 16 Jenny Lane and took pictures inside the bedroom. Go get that person. Really, Zelensky, Shortway, Volker, Burrell, you're all really pathetic. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't see any other hands.
Seeing there is no other member of the public that wishes to speak, may I have a motion to close the floor to public comments at this time?
Motion to close the floor to public comment?
Is there a second? John has a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody
Aye.
abstaining?
Aye.
Okay, floor is closed. Let's move on. Mayor's report.
Council members and public, I have 4 items that I desire to address in my report tonight. Excuse me. Item 1 is the appointing of another Vernon volunteer as a new member to an already outstanding committee. On tonight, I appoint Ms. Karen Godin to the Municipal Economic Development Advisory Committee. I am constantly amazed at the kind, at the positive, and at the talented Vernon residents who are willing to volunteer their time, their efforts, and their energy to make our town a better place in which to live. Mrs. Godin brings to the EDAC her experience as the treasurer for the Sussex County Association for Realtors, her experience as a director for the Vernon Chamber of Commerce, her experience as the vice president of the Team Up for Hope organization, and her experience as the president of the Referral Roundtable. Thank you, Mrs. Godin, for volunteering to serve your town. Item number 2. We have a host of reasons to be proud of our town. And that pride was quite evident in the form of an outstanding Vernon Township display that was on exhibit at the New Jersey State Fair, Sussex County Farm and Horse Show in August. The quality of this display was recognized by the Board of Sussex County Commissioners. In a communication to the Vernon Township Mayor's Office, the commissioners stated that Vernon's display, quote, demonstrated integrity, artistry, and conveyed a pride community spirit, unquote. I thank our Municipal Director of Community Affairs, Mrs. Michelle Downtain, for putting this display together and for presenting it at the New Jersey State Fair for all to see. What a great town in which we are lucky to live in. Item 3. Item 3 consists of an update on the status of Vernon's efforts to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus, which has been propelled by the Delta variant of this virus. Available data seems to support the view that as it relates to the spread of this virus, Sussex County in general, and Vernon Township in particular, remains relatively good and safe places to live. For example, during the month of June, when the Delta variant began to spread significant measurable infections throughout our nation, Sussex County had a total of 138 new infections, or 5 infections per day. And Vernon Township had just 5 infections, or 0.2 infections. That is less than 1 infection per day. During the month of July, both Sussex County and Vernon saw increases in the number of COVID-19 cases registered. However, the 179 new county cases equaled 6 infections today, and the 16 new infections for Vernon Township equaled just 0.5 new infections per day, still under 1 infection per day. During the month of August, both Sussex County and Vernon Township felt the sting of the Delta variant, with this variant being responsible for 99% of both the county's 792 new cases and Vernon's 85 new cases. However, the county's new cases equal an average of 26 new infections per day, and Vernon Township new cases equal just 3 infections per day, still an increase. While the data shows that as it relates to the spread of this virus, as I said, Sussex County in general and Vernon Township in particular remain relatively relatively good and safe places to live. As September progresses, we are seeing the daily number of new COVID infections creep up slightly in our town and in our county. For example, during the first 12 days of September, the number of new COVID infections in the county have increased from 26 to 29 per day. And the number of new COVID infections in our town have increased from 3 to 4 per day. We must continue to, we must not become overconfident or complacent. We must continue to do our part to halt this virus's spread. I strongly recommend that we all follow the CDC's basic guidance. That is, get the COVID vaccine and wear a mask when we feel that we are in situations where we believe that we may have an unacceptable level of exposure to this awful virus. And item 4, anyone who has joined or viewed our last several town council meetings can't help but be aware that there appears to be an organized and orchestrated effort to drive Council President Shortway out of office before his term ends. At our last council meeting and at this meeting, I was asked to join this effort. Specifically, I was asked as mayor to ask for Council President Shortway's resignation. As most know, me asking Council President Shortway or any other council member to resign has no force in law. I can't require that a council member resign any more than a council member can require that I, as mayor, resign. All members of this governmental body were duly elected by a majority of the voters of Vernon or by the voters' elected representatives. And only a majority of the voters can remove any member of this governmental body before their time of service ends. Since our last town council meeting, a couple of individuals who claim to be spokespersons for this group approached me and advised that this group would not, quote, come after, unquote, me next if I obeyed their request and called for Council President Shortway to resign. You know, over the years, we in Vernon Township have unfortunately become accustomed to a variety of in-your-face, negative, and often outrageous demands and comments from a small but highly Facebook vocal group of individuals. However, while we have unfortunately become accustomed to a certain type of arrogance, a certain type of disrespect, and a certain type of threatening behavior from specific individuals, in this case, they are blunt, they're in-your-face threat and demand that I join their attack team against Council President still really surprised me that they were so blatant and so arrogant to come to me and tell me that. I use my comments tonight to let this group know in no uncertain terms that I will not be calling for Council President Shortway to resign, and that I will not be threatened or intimidated into allowing myself to be used as a tool to hurt or disrespect any member of this town's governing body. My best guess is that this response means that I will for sure be next on their attack list. However, my personal life experiences, plus my civic and political experiences, have prepared me well to withstand the verbal sticks and stones that they are likely to cast my way. My experience have demonstrated to me that people can change. And therefore, I close my comments by expressing my desire and my hope that this group that has been led and instigated by an individual who has verbally and legally harassed our town and some of our town's businesses and many of our town's volunteers for years. I hope that they will somehow find it in their hearts and minds to change, that they will somehow find it in their hearts and minds to cease this negative behavior that's so hurtful to our town. I invite them to join with the mayor and council, plus the great majority of other Vernon residents, in focusing on things that build up and positively highlight the image of our town, rather than constantly focusing on things that tear down and smear mud on the image of our beautiful town. It is my hope that they will come to realize that our view of things in life are often influenced by those aspects of our life that we choose to emphasize. That is, either the good experiences or the bad ones. By the choice we make, we either develop a negative and angry attitude that often keeps us stuck in a mental and emotional place where we always see the glass of life as being half empty, and we always see ourselves as being victims. Or we develop an attitude that's positive and affirmative, where we see the glass of life as being half full, with the hope and belief that through our efforts and actions, we can make a positive difference. The amount of energy and effort to do either one of those things, trust me, is the same. It's the same amount of energy. Each of us have this choice to make. Thank you, Mr. Council President and council member, for giving me that opportunity tonight.
Mayor, thank you, and thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, let's go on to council comments. John, would you lead off, please?
Sure. I was fortunate enough on Saturday to be able to attend our 9/11 service on the flats, otherwise known as the Vernon Crossing at the Veterans Memorial Park. It was a very nice ceremony. Some of the speeches were a little too political for the moment, I think, but it was a nice turnout, considering that the street fair and the farmers market were also going on. It was a really somber moment, and I'm grateful for the people that turned out. Hopefully we'll continue to do that. The only other thing I have is I've been asking, and the same as the public, this town hall is open. Meetings are happening inside. The equipment is set up. If it is ready to go, I think we should start to have the hybrid meetings. I don't know if the bugs are all worked out, but I think we need to have the hybrid meetings starting next meeting. That's it.
Thank you, John. Kelly, would you go next, please?
Sure. Thank you, Harry. The only comment I want to make is to thank Tony and her family and the other volunteers who were at Maple Grange this weekend, painting the fence. I know it was a big job, so thank you guys for getting out there. I wish me and my daughters could have been there. Unfortunately, we were tied up, but thank you for getting out there both days. I know you didn't have as many volunteers as you hoped, and hopefully next time we get more members of the community to come on out and help for such a great thing, like fixing up Maple Grange Park, which we all love. So thank you for that. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Tony. Andrew?
Thank you. Just wanted to respond to Resolution 21-204. I voted on this resolution out of fairness to the town clerk and the public. This is not a retaliation, as some have commented, but one of respect to the amount of preparation that goes into facilitating these types of meetings. Marcy, our town clerk, works a normal day, 8 to 4:30, and then is responsible for facilitating these town clerk meetings or these town council meetings, recording it and taking notes. Her preparation prior to the meeting is critical for a smooth meeting. It's vital that she signed into the meeting, make sure all the systems are operational, and we as council do our connections and sound checks. This typically does take 15 to 20 minutes prior to a meeting, and as you saw today, there were some glitches. Keep in mind, also Marcy has to sort out the material and the emails in preparation for the meetings and read them out loud, which is not always the easiest thing to do, is to read somebody else's emails out loud, especially on the fly. With the new format that we're talking about going into, designed with having hybrid meetings in the future, this will become even more work on the town clerk, managing a live meeting, connecting Zoom, and checking all systems in the room function. I believe with the agenda and all the supporting documents being available by Thursday, and Sean Clark, and you made a comment, the agenda with a lot of detail and backup data is available on the websites typically by Thursday afternoon prior to the meeting. This means that the public actually has 4 days to draft and send their comments to the town clerk. So, yeah, we went from 6:45 to 4 o'clock, I think, out of respect for preparation for Marcy. So please, I'm going to ask you all is to have some compassion and respect for what the town clerk does. I do for one. Marcy, thank you for all you do. This is why I voted for the change. Simple compassion for the hard work that goes into facilitating these meetings. Thank you. That
Thank you,
is
Andrew.
all I have to say. And Tony, again, nice job with doing the paint. I saw it and it's great. So good work. Okay.
Thank you, Andrew. Tony?
Thank you, guys. So yeah, we had some students out there Saturday to help stain the fence. We're actually meeting again tomorrow, 4:30 to 6 p.m. If anybody wants to come out and join, it's a little relaxing, you know, painting that fence. It's not bad. But I do want to say it's not, it was, I don't want to say it's hard work. It wasn't hard work for me, but for a DPW team to take that on, that's a lot of work for them. And as I was there staining, I was thinking about all the work they do and how little amount of DPW workers we do have doing our, I could be wrong, but I think they take care of Maple Grange, they take care of the fields, they do Canal Street, I think they do some stuff in Highland Lakes. It's a lot of work. So I think maybe the pump track will eventually fall on them. I do think maybe, you know, we can look into maybe hiring another DPW worker to help. I would fully support that. Again, I'm not a big fan of supervisors but I do think we need to help those guys out. It's a lot of work. And they do a great job. I mean, they were there letting me in the morning, getting the stain. I'm going to stain again tomorrow, like I said. And also I was thinking about it and I'm guilty of this. And as I was thinking about it, I felt terrible, but meaning well, volunteers like myself come up with these ideas. You know, a farmer's market, let's do a farmer's market. It'll be great. We do it, we start it. And then what do I say? You know what? I'm too busy. I can't do it anymore. Michelle, here you go. And now there's other things. I guess the butterfly garden, beautiful. And it's great for the town. But again, you know, volunteers want to maintain it and try to do the best they can, but we get busy. So who does it fall on? The rec department, the DPW. So I just want to thank Michelle. I know she works hard and you know, we have great intentions and great ideas as volunteers, but sometimes we don't follow through. I am extremely guilty of this and we put the more work on our rec department and our DPW. So I want to thank them and I think they need more help, both areas. So that's it. And thanks, Kelly and Andy.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
I have no additional comments. So John,
Motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstained? Seeing none, meeting's closed. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good
Have a
Bye
good
now.
evening.